Hi, thanks so much for joining me today. My name's Katie and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I've read and my reading plans for April. I'm filming this on the 4th, so we're a little bit over the way into April. I've just been recovering from a cold, so didn't want to subject everybody to my very nasally voice, but I'm feeling much better now. So I'm excited to talk about the books. I am going to be doing a wrap up for this year just because this is my first ever wrap up in TBR, just to kind of give a better idea of kind of the books that I'm reading and that I have read, if that's helpful, and if not, then at least we get to talk about books. I'm not going to say the months, I'm just kind of gonna go from what I've read from January up until this month. So the first book that I read this year was The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I really like starting the year off with a self-help book, because I find a lot of the time self-help just reminds you of what you already know. It's just nice to have somebody say, hey, make sure you're taking care of yourself, make sure you're doing things to kind of protect yourself so that you can be healthy and that you can be healthy for those people around you. And yeah, it was fine. It wasn't like the best self-help I've ever read. It wasn't the worst. It was pretty good. The second book that I read was a physical book, and it was The Full Moon Coffee Shop by Mochizuki. So it's Japanese translated fiction, and it's about a coffee shop that's managed by cats, and they help people kind of through astrology. I don't know, it was a great read. It was really cute. I really enjoyed it, especially like the cats and the descriptions of the coffees and the desserts. It felt kind of light at first, like people are dealing with things, but then it made me cry. So I think it was really good. Next book I read was On Writing and Worldbuilding Volume 1 by Timothy Hickson. So this is a book about writing, and it was really good. So I read a lot of writing books and it was very informative, and it felt more in depth than a lot of other books I've read. It had a lot of practical information, and yeah, I really need to read the next two. But it was great. Like, it had information that I've never seen anywhere else, because I think a lot of writing books can be a bit repetitive, because it's like, this is what plot is, this is what a point of view is, but this kind of went into a lot more depth and was like asking questions of, if you have a kingdom, then kind of what's the communication across the kingdom, what are the economic policies of the kingdom. Like yeah, so it was really interesting. And if you haven't read it and you like reading books about writing or want to write and learn more about it, then yeah, I definitely recommend it. And the next book that I read was the second book in the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo, so Crooked Kingdom. I don't want to go into too much detail just because it's not the first book in a series. Six of Crows, it kind of feels like 1800s Europe with magic. It's very good. So it's YA, but Leigh Bardugo writes complicated characters, so they have tragic backstories, and they kind of have to work through that, and she doesn't shy away from that. So I think, like, even though it can be difficult to read, it makes the characters really interesting. The next book that I read was Vanishing World by Sayaka Murata. So this book was a galley, and I've read Convenience Store Woman by her and I love it. Vanishing World though was very strange and I didn't like it. Effectively, it's set in a fictional Japan where reproduction happens via artificial insemination, which has made kind of the social sexual norms a lot different. And the main character is someone who is still quite sexual, but there is definitely like social stigma around her that she has to deal with. It gets pretty unhinged, and it made me very uncomfortable, which I think might have been the point. So I'm kind of on the fence of whether, oh, she's done a really good job because I'm uncomfortable and that was the point, to it made me uncomfortable, I didn't like the book. Yes, do with that information as you will. It's not going to be a reread for me. And it's not a book that I'm gonna buy either. The next book that I read was The Gunslinger by Stephen King. So this was via audiobook. And The Gunslinger is a fantasy book, but it kind of has like a very Western feel, and it follows the gunslinger as he's chasing the man in black. I thought it was fine, but it's not kind of the type of fantasy that I gravitate towards. It's disappointing because I know that it's a book that's quite popular in kind of it's like a fantasy staple. It was fine, but I probably won't continue on with the series. So the next book that I read was actually a novella, and it was part of the Fractured Fables set, I guess, by Alix Harrow, and this has 2 novellas inside of it. So the one that I read was a Spindle Splintered. I'm just gonna try to get, does it have, there we go. So a Spindle Splintered, and I really liked it. It's a retelling of a fairy tale of Sleeping Beauty, but the main character has a life-limiting illness. She's kind of in a very similar world that we are, and she loves Sleeping Beauty, so her best friend throws her a Sleeping Beauty themed birthday party, and she pricks her finger and is teleported into a different version of Sleeping Beauty. It was really fun. I really enjoyed how she told the story. It was a quick read, and yeah, it went into kind of fairy tales as a whole, and like storytelling, and how there can be like different layers and different versions of stories that are told and the characters that exist within them. And yeah, it was really, really good. Really enjoyed it. The most recent book that I've read is One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar Akkad. And I listened to the audiobook, and the author narrates the audiobook. So this is a non-fiction book about the like what's going on in Gaza and the West's response to it, effectively. It was a really difficult listen, but I do think it's important to listen to stories that are contemporary and relevant, at least for me. I'm gonna go over the books now that I'm currently reading. I'm not a super quick reader, so there are gonna be books in like my wrap-ups that are just gonna kind of be carried over that I'm in the middle of. So I will start going over those. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book in the Akkad series, so I can't really go into information, like too much information, without spoiling it. But it's a fantasy romance series, and it follows kind of a different character now, which is very exciting. I wasn't sure about it, but like I like it now. So I did actually start reading Akkad kind of late 2019, early 2020, after I finished reading Throne of Glass, and I stopped because I got to the 3rd book, and it was right before the Crescent City tour had been announced. I had tickets, and then reports of COVID started coming in, and at that time I didn't realize how big of a deal COVID was, but then Sarah J. Maas didn't come on our tour to Birmingham. I was very sad, so I just put the series down. But I picked it back up after reading some Crescent City, and yeah, I've really been enjoying the series. So although I can't go into, well, I could, I don't want to spoil the book, but it does kind of tackle a lot of things. It is also quite spicy, so if you don't like kind of spice in your books, don't read it. But yeah, but I really enjoy it. Another one of my current reads is Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I am really enjoying it. I'm not very far, but it's non-fiction. It's about tuberculosis and its history and how it kind of impacts us today, and yeah, it's really good so far. I do follow John Green on YouTube, so I have kind of seen his videos about tuberculosis, and I've been looking forward to reading this book just to kind of get like get his full perspective on everything. Another book that I'm currently reading is The Guide to How to Write by William Ryan. I haven't gotten into this book too much, I think I just need to kind of sit down and spend some time on it. It's just a writing book. It is good so far. But yeah, I just need to properly sit down with it. I'm also listening to an audiobook, and it's called Toward Eternity by Anoton. It's a science fiction book, and it follows different characters who are involved in trying to make people immortal, essentially, but through nanotechnology. So the story is kind of told through them writing in a notebook. It's not like overly gripping for me. I just don't feel particularly connected to the characters. It does explore some really interesting topics. So it talks about language a lot, which I really enjoyed. And it also goes into like what it means to be human, and can technology be human if they can pass the Turing tests, and what would that look like. And yeah, I'm still kind of in the midst. I think I have a few hours left of it. So for my April TBR, I want to finish A Court of Silver Flames and Toward Eternity, hopefully this weekend, just so that they're done and that I can kind of move on to new stories. The first book that I'm going to be looking at is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. So this book follows, like, is intergenerational, so it follows 3 generations of a South Korean family. And I've heard so many good things about this book, and I'm really excited to read it. I don't know much other than that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get it on audiobook as well, just because I have a lot I want to read this month, and I think an audiobook would really help me out. And it's not like horrifically chunky, but it's pretty chunky. I'm really excited for it. The next book that I want to start is actually a series, but it's the Saint of Steel series by Kingfisher. I have the books 2, 3, and 4 because the first book hasn't arrived yet. It's arriving tomorrow. It's called, I can check this. So it's called Paladin's Grace. And these editions don't come out for a few days, but Waterstones sent them early. I'm very thankful. But yeah, so these covers are really pretty, and I've been really excited for them. It's not the first one, but that's okay. But yeah, so I want to start reading this book. I think it's like cozy fantasy, and it's focused on paladins who, like, because paladins get power from their gods, and then the specific paladins, their god dies, and then it's like what happens after that, I think, is the premise. But yeah, but the covers are really pretty, and it sounds like a really good series, so I really want to start reading it. In these wrap-ups and TBRs, I also want to put in my kind of planning for writing and reading. If you don't like these or want these as separate videos, let me know. But yeah, in my blog I kind of had this and I quite liked it. So my writing plans, I'm not actively writing at the moment, just because I have a draft of a book, but there's a lot of things I need to fix and I don't know how. So I think I need to take a step back, kind of write something different, and then kind of go back to it eventually. But yeah, because I've just felt really stuck. So my plans, I'm going to continue reading the guide to how to write, and hopefully that will kind of take me back to the basics and help me kind of hopefully build a story from the ground up better than I did the last one. And then also just kind of thinking about the story. I do have ideas of what I want to write. I just kind of need to hash it out and figure everything out, because it's just kind of the basic idea so far. For April, I really want to try to figure out my reading stats, because I keep saying I want to be a quicker reader to get to more stories, but I don't actually know where I'm starting from. Like, I have my Kindle, and that gives me kind of percentages for like a specific book. So I've kind of started. I haven't looked at any of the data yet. If you're interested in me doing like a deep dive of the data, let me know. I don't really have any plans on how I'm going to present it. It'll probably be me sharing my screen and looking at a spreadsheet. Might do some charts, we'll see. But yeah, so I'm recording the amount of time I read, the number of pages, where I am, my mood, the time of day, and just stuff like that, just so that I can look at that and be like, oh, I read a lot on my Kindle in my chair in the morning before work, right? Because then I can be like, oh, like I'll read then, and then hopefully that will kind of be better for me. Or maybe it's I read the most on the train, which I can't really, I'm not going to be on the train for more than like half an hour. But yeah, but just things like that. For like reading more, I don't want it to feel like a chore. I don't want to be kind of stressed out about it. I just want to kind of look introspectively to kind of get a good base point of kind of where I'm reading, and then just focus on those and expand on it. And yeah, instead of just kind of forcing myself to read at times I don't like. And yeah, I'm hoping that this will just help me take a step back to improve my reading, and kind of find out how I read the most organically. Thanks so much for joining me today while I went over kind of what I've been reading and my plans for April. I'm really excited for this month because I'm not like expecting to read the full Saint of Steel series, but yeah, but I'm still looking forward to it. If you've read any of these books, let me know down below. I'd really love to hear your opinions on them, and if you're excited about anything that you're reading right now, I'd also love to hear that. And if you'd like to kind of keep an eye on any upcoming videos and reviews, please feel free to subscribe. Thanks so much again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.